Good. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's go. So. Let's do our disclaimer. How was y'all weekend? How was y'all weekend? Am I turned up? I feel like I'm low. Okay. How was y'all weekend, man? How was y'all weekend? How was y'all weekend? Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live. Okay, disclaimer. Oh, we got some stuff. We got some stuff. I feel like we never have enough. I feel like there be so much out there. All right. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of creator Henry is only speaking from his experience. I always said that louder, but can't be too loud. And let's rock out. Let's rock out. Let's rock out. Yeah. Let's rock out. So, as I do this, as I do that, and I come back to the live, and oh, control room is not showing up. Trying to get to the control room. We are about to talk about the University of Michigan as our first topic of discussion. Let's do it. All right. What we at? Yeah, I got his line right there, man. Stop. I ain't brushed that. Hair growing back fast, guys. That's good. That's a good sign when hair grow back fast. So, here it goes. I'm so glad the computer's just going fast, though, guys. I'm so thrilled. It's moving very flawlessly. Let me see. Beautiful. So I saw this post on LinkedIn. It's by a independent education consultant. Of course, they run a business helping kids get into college. So they made a post that the University of Michigan is introducing a new binding early decision application. So, independent, not independent, new early decision application option designed for students who are confident that UM is their first choice. So I have to go through Google, right? Which will lead me to hopefully this early decision that University of Michigan is doing. Before we keep going. Michigan. You know something funny, guys? I've really been struggling how to spell Michigan this morning. Aha. It's on their school website. So, I always like to go to the school website, guys, and get it from the horse's mouth itself because that just helps me and saves me a lot of time versus, if I go strictly off LinkedIn and don't fact check what these people post, it makes me look bad. But normally, these people post good information, good critical information, but I still go and check. So, applicants can apply between August 1st and November 1st and will receive decisions by late December. They said early decision requires a signed commitment to attend the University of Michigan if admitted. This option is in addition to the early action, which is an EA, and a regular decision, RD pathways. In addition to the in addition to this major change, the University of Michigan is launching two more initiatives for the high school class of 2026. And so, real quick, we want to go to the University of Michigan website and see what this is about. First and foremost, before we keep going. So it says effective fall 2026 admission cycle. So not this fall 2025, of course, but that next fall. That next fall in 2026. Oop, hit it on this. The University of Michigan offers 3 application plans for first year applicants. It's gonna have an early decision, it's gonna have an early action, it's gonna have a regular decision. And it says we encourage students to pick the plan that is the best fit for them, pretty much. Considering when they will be ready to apply and if they are prepared to make a binding commitment to UM, regardless of the decision plan. The same rigorous, holistic application review and selection process will be followed. But it says right here, as we keep going, this is University of Michigan, guys. It's some good information you should know if you plan on going here. But we're going to break down like how we feel about it here, speaking on behalf. I'm trying to speak on your behalf, like how you feel about it. In order to qualify for the application plans listed below, students must submit all of the required materials. It has a link to required materials and posted by the posted deadlines. And they have the deadlines down here. Please read the deadlines. Please read deadlines. Students who apply via early decision or early action must early decision or early action, but don't meet the requirements or deadlines will be enrolled into regular decision applicant pool. Most first-year admitting schools and colleges at UM will participate. Most first-year admitting schools and colleges at UM will participate in the 3 decision plans, with School of Music, Theater, and Dance programs only available through regular decision with a unique deadline, with a unique December 1st deadline. Okay. Get to the. You're not telling us what makes this so different. Because I don't know about early decision. I'll be honest with you. I don't know about early decision. This is like in the admissions area, I would say, per se. It says new for fall 2026 first year applicants. Early decision is a binding plan. Students who participate in early decision, now it's telling us. Students who participate in the early decision plan will apply by November 1st. So I'm assuming December 1st of this fall 2025, I'm assuming. Will apply by November 1st and can expect a decision notification by the end of December. That's crazy. The introduction of this new plan allows highly qualified students who know that the University of Michigan is their top choice institution to affirm their commitment to the university earlier in the annual application cycle. They said financial aid packages for students who submitted their CSS profile and FAFSA by November 15th will follow closely after decision release. Follow closely. It's a lot of information here. Early decision is appropriate for students who are committed to attending UM if they are admitted. The applicant, a parent or guardian, and the high school counselor must sign the early decision agreement, indicating the student's commitment to attend UM if offered admission. If the student is admitted to UM through early decision, they must immediately withdraw applications to all other colleges. Whoa! All right, I thought that's what it was. Oh, cool. When you highlight it, it shows their colors. So, okay, UM with early decision, first and foremost. Guys, wow, where to start with this? Okay, it's a lot of perspectives. There's a lot of buttons to push. Woo. All right, I'll be honest with you guys. Ain't no school trapping me into a monopoly, essentially. A monopoly is something where people force you to only go there, right? And most of the time you hear monopoly in business is when a company has cornered the market and they're the only ones with a product or service that is so unique you have to go to them. And that's essentially what is happening. And they're the only ones with that product or service. Like nobody else has it. They're the only ones, or other people do have it, but they do it so good that you're like, I might as well just keep going here, even though I got to deal with some shenanigans. I'm going here. So that's what they're doing right here with this early decision agreement. They said, for one, your parent or guardian got to sign it. Your high school counselor got to sign it, and of course, you have to sign it in order to like go there early. Like if you know University of Michigan is your first choice, this is your school. You like, I don't want to go nowhere else. This is my school. You have to go there. If you get an early decision, they say you get in like so early before fall. Because I'm assuming they say November. I'm assuming they talking about this upcoming November, this upcoming December, because they would have put a year or date on it. So guys, I don't like the early decision by University of Michigan. I don't like it. I don't like it because then remember earlier in the I would say on their school website, early in the paragraph they said your financial aid packages for students who submitted their CSS profile and FAFSA by November 15th will follow closely after decision release. Guys, I'm gonna be real with you. You don't know what your financial aid package is gonna be if you are hoping to use financial aid. If you have parents who are gonna pay regardless, don't care about the price, this don't apply to you. You know, this don't apply to you because you know my parents gonna cover it. I'm gonna be good. It don't matter. Blah blah blah. But if you plan on using financial aid, scholarships, what else? Your own money, and many other resources, you should pay attention. And I don't think you should do early decision because early decision, if you do get in, your package can be not good. It can be really good, but it can be not good. And they're your only offer. So if you apply to other schools, they say you gotta throw those away. You have to. They're literally saying you must immediately withdraw applications to all other colleges and universities. I wonder what happened if a student um, is admitted early but decides they want to change their mind. What would happen? What's the consequence? But as I see right here, real quick, it says students who participate in early decision could receive these possible outcomes: admit, deny, or postpone. If they tell you postpone, admit, deny, or postpone to early action. So now it's saying students postponed to early action will no longer have a binding commitment if admitted. If admitted. So if you do early action, you don't have a binding commitment if admitted. And I don't know what early action is. It's going to explain it hopefully in the next like paragraph. But guys, an early decision is going to trap you. If you know this is your school for sure, and your parents are paying for it, like you know you 100% not gonna have student loans or anything, then early decision is for you. But if you're like on the verge of like, not even on the verge, if you're like in that range of like resources, remember you got to use resources. I usually call it the tree of resources. If you know you got to pull things from that tree, like financial aid, your money, if you're doing VA, if you're doing this and doing that, like scholarships, like you don't need to do early decision because might not end up being the best option for you, and that can end up holding you. Like it's kind of like no diversification. It is no diversification. Never have one set plan because that one set plan is always a higher. You're putting yourself at a higher chance of risk, and in this case, it doesn't give you much reward because we got, like we said, colleges like UM. We should review them. I don't think we did the University of Michigan as a review. I think we did, but the University of Michigan is, as far as I know for sure, I know it's expensive. I don't have to look at it, but I know it's expensive, and you won't not, and you will not. If you, like I said, you using scholarships and all that good stuff, your own money, you are potentially going to be looking at a lot of student loan debt, especially if your package is not good. It's not guaranteed. Remember, you have to think about all the federal things going on with Donald Trump, the Trump administration, Linda. You have to think about all these things that are going on right now. And granted, you're probably like, oh, it hasn't kicked in yet, but you never know. And you can get the worst end of the stick. So don't do I would say advise, talk to some other professionals if you don't know any. Try to talk to some financial aid specialist that is not at that school. Because guys, I'm telling you, that's a bad deal. Even in the stock market, right? What I tell it was somebody, whoever is a financial advisor out there, disclaimer, not a financial advisor. If somebody is a financial advisor out there, right? I'm pretty sure they would tell you never solely invest in one stock. I'm pretty sure they'll tell you that. Never invest in one solely stock. Same thing with your education. Don't invest in one source of education. That is such a bad deal right there. And so then it tells us about the early action. So the early action, the deadline is best for students who are prepared to apply early and are interested in receiving an admissions decision early, but are still considering their college options. Do the early action. Do the early action. I don't care if you are set in stone on the University of Michigan. Do the early action, because the early action, as it said right here, you're interested in receiving the admission decision early, but you're still considering other colleges, which gives you leverage. It gives you leverage. Now remember, talk to some admission people at different places, because there could be some things I'm missing. Like if you do a ED, or early decision, you might get a better package because you was set in stone on the school early. There are so many different, I would say, resources that we learn from people here on the live screen alone that tells you, like, they got need based, merit based. They got many other things and resources you can use. But remember, guys, admissions is all about sometimes who you know. You got people getting into these bigger schools based off who they know. So you have to keep that in mind, which means I'm not surprised if they can rig up something and get more money and take money from you guys. I'm telling you, go look at it, read about it. It's articles on this stuff. I don't talk out of my head, but there's resources on this. It's articles. So early action is the move right now, because it's like one more, and it's called regular decision. I think we all know what that is, but we're gonna still go through it. So early action, once again, it gives you college options. So if you say I'm possibly going here or going there, you got a lot more options, wiggle room, and you have negotiation ability. Because remember what we talked about on one of our screens with Syracuse, that the parent was like, you gonna have to cough up some more money if you want us to come Syracuse, because you hitting us up at the last minute, pretty much in like the end of May, early June-ish, to get my daughter to come to your school when you denied us the first go around, and now you're coming back to us because I guess your student enrollment is looking a little low. So remember, you can negotiate. That was per, I forgot who posted. It wasn't Chronicle Higher Education. Yes, it was. It was Chronicle Higher Education, I believe. It was a credible source, and it was a hot topic. So remember, your parents or you can negotiate. Don't forget that. You can negotiate. Leverage is everything. And so it says early action is non-binding, meaning admitted students can consider all of their options, including decisions from other colleges/universities and financial aid packages, before making a decision. Students admitted through EA, which is early action, have until May 1st to commit to UM. That's a great deadline, guys, because you got to think about it. You're going to be starting school that August. So you got to May 1st. You got the whole school year for my house schoolers and for my parents and guardians and for people if you're watching for them. You have the whole school year to make a decision and go be applying to other schools. So, hey, right now, I would do early action. That would be me right now, early action. And they also had the deadlines. And I think I could put the link in here for my people out there who potentially want to go here. It's always better to go to the school website. And so now we get to the regular decision, right? So the regular decision deadline is the standard non-binding application plan. Applying as a regular decision applicant provides students more time to complete their application and collect the required materials. It also provides time It also provides time. Yeah, I think I know what they meant to say. It does provide time. It does provide time for students to consider their college options and financial aid packages before committing. Financial aid packages for students. So this is pretty much a regular one, guys. Uh, yeah, this pretty much like regular, literally like regular where you get admitted, denied, or waitlist. If you ever get waitlisted at a college, please go explore other colleges. Most people probably know that, but if you don't know, because there's always people who don't know who's coming up behind you, don't wait on the wait list. The wait list, I have never, in my experience of higher education, I have never heard anyone say I was granted off the wait list. I haven't personally. I've seen people waitlisting in law school. I've seen people waitlisting in physical therapy. I've seen people waitlisting in regular college, like when they're undergraduate. So never wait on the wait list. They waitlist you. Don't look back. Go to another school. I don't know why they even have wait lists at this point because they need people to go to school. So if they waitlist you, they just really didn't pick you. That's another word for not picking you. To be bluntly honest. So this right here, guys, about the University of Michigan, I see this as a, how can I say it? It's like they're trying to force you to come here. It's like the basic like word of mouth strategy. I always go back. I always think everything is word of mouth personally, because you think about a student who gets in early and then they get to post it early. They be like the first ones are early. Be like, oh yeah, I was the first to post. I got in the University of Michigan because I was an early decision, and so then it builds up talk like, dang, they got into University of Michigan. Maybe I should try to get in. Then it starts building up that pipeline, right, of people trying to go to the University of Michigan. It's definitely a way to get more students to go there. Because remember, again, guys, we can go look at their tuition and fees right now. Like, we can go look at their tuition. Cannot see my keyboard, but it's okay because I can still type without looking down a little bit. Tuition and fees. If we go look at tuition and fees, we know they are expensive. I don't doubt University of Michigan is not expensive. I don't doubt it. Or is expensive. I don't doubt it. Because right here, 2025, 2026, tuition and fees. Right here, you're looking at in tuition and fees alone, just for the year. Beep beep. It's not saying I don't want to assume this is for one semester because it could be. Is this for the year? You're not saying it's for the year, so they're not telling us it's for the year. You already know how this go, guys. We always have to look. I'm assuming this for the year. Yeah, I'm assuming that's for the year. Yeah, for the year. So you looking at 18 grand in tuition and fees already. What is that? That's already around $9,000 for fall and spring. So keep that in mind. That's already 9 grand right there. But they're saying for the school year, you're looking at 38 grand at the University of Michigan right there. Right there. That's easy. Right there. It says total budget, you're looking at 38 grand. But realistically, they're including living expenses. They're saying your living expenses is going to be 16 grand. I never include that. So in reality, what I would tell you, what you're looking at, I think they're including on campus housing when they say living expenses, like living on their campus. So yeah, I'm gonna run with 38 grand. 38 grand for the year. And if you do, remember guys, if you do 38 times 4 alone, 38 times 4 at the University of Michigan, that's what, $152,000. That's a house. That's a house. Is the University of Michigan worth the house to you? What is the University of Michigan known for? Sports, not students. Sports. I never heard anybody saying they're going to the University of Michigan to, I don't know. Like, I just know athletes. That when I think of University of Michigan, I think of athletes. If I type in the University of Michigan in Google, a football player, basketball player, something is going to come up. Don't be ignorant. Don't be ignorant. Don't be ignorant. Remember, nothing is free. Admissions, you have to pay for that stuff. in order to get some of these materials together for your application, you have to pay for this stuff. Nothing is free. So you trying to be a early decision for my people out there who don't have school guaranteed paid off. You're trying to be an early decision, and then you're going to be set in stone on this school, pay all this money in your admissions process. Hopefully hopefully they still can deny you. They said that. Where is it? In the early decision, you can receive these possible. They should have put that in red. It's right here at the end, like right before you finish. In your early decision, you could receive these possible outcomes: admit, deny, or postpone. Postpone is another word for we didn't want you right now. We wanted this other person. Come on now. Come on now. If they postponed you in an early decision, don't go there. Have some dignity. Have some respect for yourself. They postponed you to early action. If they deny you or postpone you, then they saying they moving you to early action. Then you do early action and try to apply again. What if they say you got to apply again and charge you more fees? I don't know. I don't have sympathy for higher education sometimes, or at least universities. Let me clarify. And I know they will charge you all over again to redo your application. I wouldn't put it past them. So look, if I was applying to the University of Michigan, I would do like I said before, I would do the early action and keep it trucking and have my other schools in the pool. Shoot, I might even tell them I'm looking at Ohio State because apparently they a rival with Ohio State. So I'll definitely be on their head with that one. I will. Never solely invest in one thing. Always diversify. And so we saw that post on LinkedIn. I think it was a very good post, a very good conversation because we right at where we need to be right now. Going to the next one. So Black and Hispanic colleges, what's it? Black and Hispanic decline in being admitted. I thought that was interesting immediately. So the real post, this is by the Inside Higher Ed. They posted this on Friday. And it says the changing demographic of admitted students. It says following the Supreme Court ruling on, so guys, I wasn't live streaming, but this was a really big topic, of course, at my school, in my major, my schoolhouse. When the Supreme Court ruling, they had, so what they did was they shut down affirmative action, pretty much. So the share of college applicants who are Black and Hispanic has risen. They've been applying, but they said while the percentage admitted has declined. So I have my perspective on this and what I want to talk about on this and what I feel like Black and Hispanics should do if they're being denied from colleges, because the main thing I want to know is what college are they being denied from? Is it universities or is it community colleges? Is it Ivies? Hopefully they specify that, and that's what we finna do. And this article is by Johanna Alonso. So they said the researchers aim to show demographic changes across the entire admissions pipeline. So shout out to our researchers, guys. Once again, this is how we keep going. Our researchers are very valuable. I know in the future we plan on having some come on and educate us, inform us on some things. And once again, research helps us make informed decisions and helps prevent natural disasters. So how we can keep going forward. So in 2023, yep, I remember it was around the time I was starting my grad school. It says, in the wake of the Supreme Court's 2023 decision to ban affirmative action in college admissions, no one knew exactly what the impact on Black and Hispanic enrollment might be going forward. I can tell you what I knew what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be, I wish one of our main people in the live stream was here with us, because he told me, G told us that Columbia, the Ivy, when you're doing your admission process, they're not competing you against people who have, like, let's say somebody went to a private school and you went to a Title I school. You're not being compared to somebody at a Ivy, or not an Ivy, at a private school. You're being compared against somebody at another school similar to you, and which helps you get into the school. So if you went to a private school, you're going to be compared against other kids at private schools. You see what I'm saying? So I thought that was interesting. That was like a whoa. But I don't think all schools do that. That's what I'm saying. Like regular public schools, I don't think they do that. That was an Ivy perspective, right? And so as we keep going, I'm pretty sure, I just want to say real quick, I feel like the Black and Hispanics have been applying to universities, of course. And they saw a decline and been admitted because the part affirmative action is explaining your story. Like some people might use a story of like, I come from poverty and more, right? And that's a way to tell them why they need to go to college. Because usually when you're doing a university admissions process, I wish I had some people in here who could tell me, because I didn't do a university admission process. I didn't do a traditional one. When I transferred under the articulation agreement, I didn't have to do none of that. I didn't have to write why I want to go to the university. I didn't have to do none of that. I just slipped right into the school. And so they said nobody would know the impact. So in fall 2024, the numbers varied substantially by institution. It said inside higher ed analysis of 31 institutions enrollment data, which we're going to click on because we want to see what 31 institutions did they use in this report, because this is going to prove my point right here, quick, fast, and hurry. So it says right here, this is another article they did in 2024. This is by Liam Knotts. So they said we compiled colleges' first year demographics in an interactive database to track how they change after the affirmative action ban. Draw conclusions at your own risk. Draw conclusions at your own risk. So they said the demographic data for the class of 2028, which is 2025 now, is in high demand this fall, 1 year after the Supreme Court struck down affirmative action. Higher ed leaders, families, lawyers, and policy wonks are anxious for a more concrete picture of what racial diversity looks like without it. So as we keep going, right here they said gathered institutionally reported data from more than 25 universities and broken down the numbers into an interactive database. So we came to see what the institutions were. So I don't see any institutions right now. All right, let's do it. So you get past some stuff. Changing the number of students declining to the list, their race between classes of 27 28, no race listed. So right here, as I thought, so they got a couple of schools combined, which is weird. So we got USC, Harvard, Amherst, if I said it right, University of Virginia, Pomona, if I said it right, I'm gonna put them in there. Okay, won't let me copy it, but I can spell that easily. Pomona. So they got that school in there because I be butchering some schools. And so they said Williams, Johns Hopkins, Columbia, Caltech. So guys, these schools, some of them are Ivy League, some of them are regular public schools, and some of them are private in here. And you know the common denominator of it all, my basic math skills, they're all universities. They're all universities. / Ivies, but all universities. That's why Black and Hispanics are not getting in. Because they're trying to go to universities. And I get you want to get a great education. I get it. You think you're getting a better education, perceived. You think you have to go to these bigger schools. And guys, you have to go where you can fit in sometimes. Like, I wasn't surprised that it was going to be universities. Right here, it said, right here we got more. We got Tulane, Boston College, Duke, Vanderbilt, Boston University, Not Boston, yeah, Boston University, which we talked about recently. UNC, Chapel Hill, Caltech, MIT. All these are universities. Like I said, this proves my point once again. They don't do research on 2 years because they probably do, but they don't highlight it. Why didn't you just say, oh, but Black and Hispanics have been going to 2 years and saw an increase? Because I feel like more people been going to 2 years and been openly about it. Have I seen popular articles and stories about them? Eh, maybe I haven't found them. Right? Always keep that in mind. Maybe I haven't found them and did enough research to go find them. But they they might be getting denied. Oh, let's go back to our other article because I figured it was gonna be all universities as always. This is why it was so hard for me to make my case when writing papers in graduate school. I made graduate school a lot harder than it had to be on myself because I went trying to find different type of credible resources about 2-year colleges, about um, the finance part of it, economics part of it, and I was learning as I went with some things. And so, okay, I see some more schools popping up. So the Black and Hispanic should definitely be going to a 2 year. 2 year has an open admission policy. What's that? You have 100% chance of getting in. Oh, guys, your first 2 years of college anyway, you're taking gen ed. Do I have to keep reminding us about that? Your first 2 years of college, you're taking gen ed. You're taking math. You're taking English. You're taking psychology. But you're trying to hurry up and go to a university. When you're going to take that your first 2 years, you're taking that at a university, which is another reason why you should start at a 2 year, not those 2 years out taking your gen ed and then bridge to that 4 year you want to get to. But remember, you need to make sure as that 4 year that you know you want to go to, it's cool. It's cool. It's okay. Most 2 years are accredited. If your 2 years are accredited, please make sure before going. If you're that 4 year you're trying to go to, make sure they're accredited. Even though the schools I listed are pretty good with accreditation, remember, there is also accreditation wars going on right now. Not schools, but states are trying to I know right now in the South, Florida, Texas, Georgia, I think Virginia's part of it because they considered Virginia in the South and Virginia's in the North because, for more people that don't know that, Virginia was part of the Confederate when Virginia should have been part of the Union. But I know, and I'm like, it don't make sense, but I wasn't in that time, so I can explain that to you. You have to ask them. So, remember, you have to factor in all these things. And Black and Hispanics, yeah, they're getting denied because their stories are so much different from their peers and counterparts who are another demographic, who are possibly white, Asian demographic, or whatever, right? But if you have a struggle story, it don't matter really who you are, I believe, but if you have a struggle story, they're not really trying to hear that. Because I know that was one of the main things about making admissions fair. They don't want to hear your sob story. They don't want to hear your, what's the other word? They don't want to hear your what did you say, your struggle story. They don't want to hear that. They trying to get rid of that. That's what currently the Trump administration is trying to do. They're trying to get rid of that. Do I support that? Personally, no, because that would be my story. But it's not like I'm making it up. Some people make it up to the point that they didn't live that type of lifestyle. They had a good lifestyle, we would say. But that's what makes it bad, because a few bad apples took it overboard, and then they messed it up for the people who actually did go through that. So as we keep going, so right here it says, but enrollment data only tells part of the story, right? A new report from the Urban Institute, which uses data from 18 colleges and universities, highlights how the demographics of college applicants and admits shifted after the court's decision for students for fair admissions versus Harvard. So Harvard got in trouble too about this, about they only admitted majority, I believe, white students, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll keep reading to find out. But I remember Harvard got it. Like I said, guys, Harvard is always in trouble. Like, the Trump administration going after Harvard is no surprise. Most people know higher education. Harvard do what they want, when they want, how they want. Harvard ran stuff. Let's keep going. So it says, students for fair admissions versus Harvard and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. while the share of applicants who were Black and Hispanic increased from fall 2023 to fall 2024 by 0.7% and 0.65 percentage points, respectfully, the portion who were admitted decreased. So once again, they said applicants increased, but the portion who were admitted decreased. Remember that. So they applied. Yeah, that's good. Then they like, no, you can't come here. So remember that. It marked the first time since at least 2018 that the share of admitted students who were Black had declined. Hispanic students had not seen a drop since 2021. When the share of applicants also declined, white students' share of applicants, admitted students, and enrolled students has shrunk every year since 2018. So, right, read that again. White students' share of applicants, admitted students, and enrolled students has shrunk every year since 2018, a trend consistent with the declining number of white high school graduates and of white Americans in general. White graduates are also the only group that consistently make up a larger percentage of admitted students than applicants. So this person who is saying this right now is saying that white high school graduates are declining. But somehow they're still being admitted the most into these schools. So my thing about it all is, as I keep going, this is another good part. Okay. All right. The way I see it, guys, this is why I tell you don't get caught up in this. Because right here, when I went through my process, do you think I read this information, was looking at this disadvantage toward me as a Black person, Black man, right? Do you think I looked at this and used it as like a handicap? Oh, this is why I can't go to college. This is why I can't get ahead. This is why I can't get into the school I want to get into. No. I can care less about that. Because when one door closes, another one opens. And what I mean by that is, look, when I was applying to school with my terrible SAT and ACT scores, by the way, every school said I should retake it. Every university, right? When I was trying to think, when I think I was trying to go to college or whatever, right? They said I need to retake it. I said, no, I'm not retaking no tests because, I just felt like I didn't need to retake it. That's when, like I always tell you, I went to a 2-year on accident and I was doing trades at first. And I decided to go for my actual associates, then bachelor's and so on. Once again, I always repeat this. If they got denied, my Blacks and Hispanics, if they're getting denied to go to these big schools, take your federal money. Because they love to say Black students and Hispanic students get federal money, they get Pell Grant. Very stereotypical. Very Pell Grant or financial aid is for poor people. Not true. So take your money to the community college, get your money, save your money, do your best, stay focused. Because when we have a community, this is what you need to do. This is going to be the new wave right here. And then, guys, you can still transfer to Ivy League. You can still transfer to Ivy League. Ivy League is not going to say, oh, you can't come here because you started at a 2-year. They're not going to say that. But you got to remember, you got to set yourself up. Like, you got to really put a plan together. Most kids think, oh, it's over, then they go to a state college because they did not get admitted to the dream university or the dream Ivy. It's not over. Take 2 years, take a step back, take the sports analogy approach. What I mean by that is when players don't get to go to a big university because they wasn't highly recruited in sports, it don't matter, any sport. Guess what they do? They go to a junior college. This is the same thing. Take your butt to a community college. Junior college and community college are the same thing. Go to a community college. Work on your game. Hit the books. Get it better. Call Harvard. Call Columbia. Call UGA. Call whoever you need to call, who your dream university is. Hey, say I'm at this 2-year. Y'all gonna take these credits? Make sure you go over all of that. Hey, if you want to go to school out of state, you need to say, look, do y'all got something where I can be in state? I'm transferring, considering it. Go through it now, because that's what's gonna happen. And then you take those 2 years doing your gen ed, you know, like, oh, you pass this, pass that, try to get straight A's. You know, deep down, like, hey, this the major I want to do for my bachelor level. Like and subscribe. Then you transfer. They're not going to ask them students, those staff, the faculty. Nobody's going to ask you and say, what school you came from? Oh, you transferred in from a 2. Nobody's going to ask you that. Nobody. When people see me apply to jobs, I don't even think they look at it on the resume. They don't ask me. They don't even remember when I start the job. Oh yeah, you went to Valdosta State. Yeah, I also went to a 2-year. Please don't forget my 2-year. I went to a 2-year as well. Oh yeah. Oh, you go to Georgia State. Yeah, I also started a 2-year. Don't forget about my 2-year, please. That's what started my life, and I kept going to college. That's what helped me get where I'm at. Don't forget my 2-year college. Don't try to bury them, because they already try to bury themselves sometimes. They don't even take pride in themselves. Remember, guys, you got people working at 2-year colleges who went to universities. Most of the staff, they should do it. See, that's probably what my research would have been on for a PhD. But who's going to read it, right? I could just talk about it, and people watch the video and be like, he got a point. I'd rather do that. So most people who work at colleges or 2-year colleges, on the side note, just sound a little fat, they went to universities. If we did we did a survey on it, most of them went to university. You might have a few percentage low that started at 2-year and decided to work at a 2-year. They started at 2-year, got their bachelor's, got their master's, now they work at a 2-year. Rare. Why? Because 2-year colleges don't pay as good as universities or Ivy Leagues. That's why. 2-year colleges, like, yeah, some of them make real good money, but 2-year colleges make low-end money compared to the universities and Ivies. Because, remember, we got affordable costs. That's why I said, I get why universities charge a good bit sometimes, but they be overcharging. Lights and power bills and amenities and all that don't cost that much. So, because that's going to lead into our last thing about Ben, what's his name? Ben Sasse. That's going to lead into our last conversation about him. So, let's keep going. So, somebody is quoting right here. I don't know who is quoting and saying this, but it's a quote. We have seen a lot of enrollment numbers in the news articles here and there since last fall. It said in some cases they stay the same, in some cases they change. But I think what these data are, what the data is showing is that it is not fully reflective of what might actually be happening, he said. I think they're talking about, I don't know who's saying this, so I can't even say, but he said, one of the big takeaways for me is just how much can be hidden if you only look at enrollment numbers and are not seeing what is happening. I just got breaking news. Trump is doing something with tariffs again. So, okay. One of the big takeaways for me is just how much can be hidden if you only look at the enrollment numbers and are not seeing what's happening in the rest of the admissions pipeline. So, okay. For this study, the researchers partnered with 2 organizations, the Association of Undergraduate Education at Research Universities and the University of Southern California Center for Enrollment Research. University of Southern California is USC, but they got an enrollment research, policy and practice to solicit data from a diverse group of 18 research universities, which they did not name. See, this colleges got to move in silence. They can't even mention names. They like, look, you can't be saying who this came from because that's going to hurt us in marketing and da-da-da. So, hey, let's keep going. Because we always try to talk about things that applies back to students. So this was specific about Black and Hispanics, right? And I'm like, look, if you Black and Hispanic, go to a 2-year. Sure, if you white, go to a 2-year. If you don't have the money, go to a 2-year. If you got the money, go to a 2-year, actually, because it just helps you save money. Because people think wealthy students, parents' money is my money. Sometimes the kid, what I seen in my experience, the kids pick the schools, they go into the debt, then the parents be like, you chose to go to that school. I'm not bailing you out. Real parents would say, I'm not bailing you out. Your parents who got the money just bail you out, not teaching you a lesson. So, of course, if you one of those students, you ain't watching me on YouTube. You know, you might mute me and just have me on thinking of some comments to say to me, and I might just not reply because it's really hard to get me to reply, guys. I grew up in a space where I don't argue with people through virtual settings. That doesn't really work. Never really been a thing. So it's difficult to say that. It's difficult to say. It's difficult to say definitely that the Supreme Court's decision caused the decline in the share of admitted students. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't blame it on the Supreme Court saying that it caused the decline in the share of students from other representative backgrounds. Put me on somewhere to debate that. Put me on something where people try to cook me and fry me and interview me and all that. Because I'll say, okay, because they're not going to watch my video. They're not going to watch my live streams. They're not going to see they just going to keep talking. I'm like, yeah. So why those Black and Hispanic students can start at a 2-year where they have a 100% open admission policy? The debate is done right there. It's done. Then they can bridge to a 4-year. What are we debating? This ain't even a debate no more. This is just you trying to bash me at this point. So it won't even end well for you. Most people don't know about 2-year college. Most people don't even know a 2-year college has an open admission. Most people don't know they can take their gen ed at a 2-year first and then bridge to a 4-year and actually take the classes they went to school for. Nobody knows that. I'm going to tell you who do know that. But, you know, you just got to pay attention. You just got to do your research and go see the demographics that are going to 2-year colleges and then bridging to 4 years. Because best believe, the people that started 2 years, that demographic, those demographics, they started 2 years and go to bigger schools. They go to the Georgia Techs. They go to the UGAs. They go to the MITs. They bridge to bigger schools. They just don't tell you. You know, so not them, but people just don't post it and tell you. When you go on LinkedIn, when you go on you'll see some. But when you go on LinkedIn, when you go on Instagram, you see Instagram kick me off. When you go on these platforms, they're not telling you that. Why? Because that's undercutting the market. Price cut at its best. You know? If you don't know, now you know. And so, so it's pretty much about Blacks and Hispanics. Somebody said right here in quote, but Robert Massa, a veteran enrollment professional, said he believes the shifts were likely caused in large part by the end of affirmative action. All right, Robert Massa, if I said your last name right, you're a veteran enrollment professional. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Anybody who's a veteran, I mean, not disrespecting like that, but anybody who says they know what they're doing at this point in higher education do not know what they're doing. Why do I say that? Look where we are today. Your past methods were not working, and they won't work. They will not continue to work. It's kind of pessimistic of me to say, because it's kind of like, if you believe that, then do you believe in the future will change? Of course I believe in the future will change of higher education. If you know how to navigate it and not follow the traditional rules of it. My computer, it's right here. It's about to die. I do believe the future of it can change. That's why I'm still optimistic at the same time. But if I have to listen to these traditional mindsets, like this right here, I'm not at all, I quote Robert Massa. I'm not at all surprised that Black students have increased their representation in the applicant pool and decreased their representation in the accepted pool, because universities are taking careful steps to make sure they don't use race in or of itself as a criteria in the admissions process, he said. So, key word right there, he said, or not he, I don't know if this is he or she, but key word that Robert Massa said. Robert said, where did Robert say it? Robert said it. Because universities, Robert's not thinking about community colleges. Robert's like, yeah, I'm not surprised because universities, I'm not surprised that Black students decreased in representation of being accepted because of universities. Guys. History literally says this. You can go look up why community colleges were created. They were created because there was an overflow of students going to universities, and everybody can't go to university. Everybody can't go to university. It's just like a stock. Common sense. Netflix stock is like $1,000, $1,200. Disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor. Disclaimer: when Netflix stock kept rising and buying, you're gonna have people that say, look, I can't buy the stock, or I can't afford the stock. Why? Because they want certain people to keep buying the stock. Same thing with universities. They want certain people to go to the universities. Cool. Go to a 2-year. How many times, I guarantee you, I don't know this person right here, but I guarantee you they never recommended somebody to go to a 2-year college. They recommended them to go to another 4-year. I know so many people who got rejected by so many 4 years. They be like, I applied to a lot of 4 years and I didn't get in. So then guess what they did? I didn't go to college because I didn't get in. I couldn't get in. Did you try to go to a 2-year? Like, what's that? Or, no, because I'm smarter than that. What? A 2-year is harder than a 4 year sometimes. Education is education. They got you thinking the education is so different. Let me tell you, the professor you get, their main goal is to make sure you learn. What I mean by that, when my professor brought a financial advisor to our classroom, it was up to us to follow up with that financial advisor. It was up to us. It was up to you at that point to get information from that financial advisor. Then it was up to you again to go read some books and learn about how I learned to invest in the market, or how I learned to do it. Look, they put you in position. That's what a professor gonna do. If a professor doesn't know, you go to another person who might know. Because at the end of the day, that professor probably went to that university you tried to go to. Ding, 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 ding. And that professor got jaded and said, I'm going to a 2-year to work. The university game ain't what it thinks. And the 2-year the professor who went to that university you want to go to can tell you this and that and put you in positions with people who are doing great things that went to a university. Stop playing the game one-dimensionally. There's other ways to get to it. You can meet people from Ivy Leagues. You just got to know somebody who went to Ivy League, or know somebody who go to Ivy League. It's too many people out here not to know that. But we're in a time right now that, once again, we're going back to my liberal arts degree. We're in a time right now, people don't like talking to people in person. People try to go talk to people online. You got to talk to people. You got to increase the demand of talking to people. Let's keep going. So, and that's pretty much it. From who wrote this article, they said something about COVID-19. They said the same class of high school seniors faced other barriers, including the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and delays and errors with the free application of federal student aid. Per se by Brian J. Cook, another author of the report in the Urban Institute's Director of Higher Education Policy. Remember to like and subscribe. They said they noted that colleges in some states had begun rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion, of course. But that's pretty much all for this, guys, that I would say. As we are getting to another part. Shout out to our views. That was a pretty good article, right, y'all? I feel that was a pretty good article. 6. Where is my 3rd? I thought I closed it out. It's right there. I thought I closed it. I was like, did I close it out? Gotta hydrate, guys. Gotta hydrate. Ben Sasse. Is that how you say it? Is that how you said it? Sassy? Sassy? Probably Sasse. But I'm gonna look up his last name. This guy right here, I would love to meet this guy. This guy is hilarious. Y'all finna get a kick out of this story. Per se, this is all per Chronicle Higher Education. These are not my words. These are not my words. Please do not try to get me. It's probably Sasse.
Sasse.
Yeah, it is Sasse. I was saying Sassy, but it's Sasse. So, first and foremost, before I even start talking, Ben Sasse is a former United States Senator. First and foremost. And you know what happened with him as being a former United States Senator? He was the he was the 13th president of the University of Florida. He was the 13th president of the University of Florida. And he was only the University of Florida president for 2020, from February 2023 to July 2024. And guess what? Remember, guys, we said the University of Florida is very conservative. He was Republican, and he was the 13th president of the University of Florida. Very conservative, very Republican. Why are we about to talk about Ben Sasse? Because Ben Sasse, let me tell y'all what my boy Ben Sasse did. So for everybody who don't know what Ben Sasse did, let me tell you what my boy did. When he was president of the University of Florida, the United States former senator, let me tell you what he did. The senator turned University of Florida president, stirred millions of dollars toward consultants and hired his Republican allies to serve in lucrative jobs at the University of Florida. And he threw some expensive parties. Y'all ain't ready for Ben. Ben know how to... Man, y'all better stop playing with Ben, man. Y'all better stop playing with Ben. Ben probably went to a party college. Ben said, man, I'm finna throw a party. Let me see. What college Ben went to? And he went to Yale. And he went to Ivy League. Let's stop playing with Ben. Stop playing with Ben. Ben went to St. John's College. They say he went to Yale, St. John's College, Harvard University, University of Oxford. But we have to know some of these might be honorary degrees. So I'm gonna use an uncredible source for his education real quick. I want to see where he went to school. The University of Florida actually has it posted on here still. Schools are funny, man. People want to go here though. These schools are funny. So, as I look for his education section on here, I'll do Control F. Okay, they don't have it on there. So we're going to use Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not credible, but they will have his education in the order I need it. They say he got his bachelor's from Harvard, his master's from St. John's, and they say he got his MA or PhD pretty much from Yale University. That's what they're saying. So y'all ain't ready for him. He went to straight two. I know he went to two Ivies. I don't know if St. John's College is an Ivy. I'm gonna look at it. Private liberal arts. It is not an Ivy. He went to mostly Ivies and private schools. Y'all ain't ready for Ben. Ben has said, man, I'm about to spend this money. Y'all finna give me all this money? I'm finna spend it. Talking about college presidents. What you talking about? Told y'all they got this money. Blowing money, charging you more. They calling y'all suckers. That's what they saying. They calling y'all suckers. They calling all y'all parents and guardians and students, they calling y'all suckers. And they don't care how you feel about it. So right here, I got the transcript. This is on College Matters from the Chronicles of Higher Education. And so Jack Scripling, this is College Matters from the Chronicle. It's a transcript. It says Garrett Shanley says, I think the most eye-popping thing that list, he said the most eye-popping thing from that list was $176,000 holiday party thrown at the old president's mansion on campus that had a $38,000 hand-rolled sushi bar. Y'all stop playing. Who y'all think paying for this stuff? Stop playing with Ben. Ben said, I ain't using none of my money. Stop playing with Ben. Y'all playing with Ben. Ben Sasse on the thing. Sound like a... So they said right here, per the person on the, I think it's a podcast, per their podcast, their episode, per Jack. Okay, we got Jack Scripling. I'm gonna put Jack Scripling in the chat for us. And then I'm gonna put Garrett Shanley in there too. These are the people talking. So Jack Scripling, they said a student journalist at the University of Florida broke a bombshell story in August. Here are some of the key details from that report. During his 17 months as president, Ben Sasse 17 months as president of the president of the University of Florida, former United States Senator Ben directed millions of dollars toward a consulting company where he once worked and he hired old political hands to work remotely from Washington in a lucrative university job. All told, spending from the University of Florida president's office ballooned. So he spent about $17.3 million during his first year on the job. He more than tripled what had been under the previous president. The story, which came out just weeks after Sasse abruptly resigned as UF president, drew national attention and scrutiny from state auditors. All of this came to light thanks to the report from Garrett Shanley, a University of Florida student and a reporter for the Independent Florida Alligator, the university student newspaper. So Garrett is an intern this semester at the Chronicle of Higher Education, and we are excited to have him on the show today to talk about his reporting. Garrett, welcome to College Matters. And, he do the hi and says, congratulations on this story. It made a big splash, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, shout out to him, though. And so it says, how do we get into the conversation talking about Ben? And so he talked about the beginning, like we talked about when Ben Sasse first got there. He was elected. And then fun fact. He was elected in 2014. He was one of the 7 Republican senators voted to convict Trump on charges related to the January 6, 2021 Capitol insurrection when they stormed the Capitol. And I think one of the main stays of his legacy as a senator was his relationship with Trump. He said that his oppositional relationship to him has defined his legacy as a senator. But aside from that, he did vote in line with Trump most of the time on Capitol Hill. And 2 years into his second term, he was announced as the sole finalist of the UF job. So, like I said, guys, politics has its hands deep in higher education. This is no surprise to me, but if you don't know, now you know. So Jack Scripling said he's best known as a senator. Guys, this is the whole Chronicle Higher Education. I told you, Chronicle Higher Education, it gets off liberal. And so he's best known as a senator, but did he have a background in higher education? Jack Scribbler asked that question. He's known for a senator, but did he have a background in higher education? Garrett Shanley says, yeah. He was an Ivy League grad in history from Yale. He had some professorships over the years, including at UT Austin. His most high-profile higher education job was as president of Midland University in Fairmont, Nebraska. It is a very small private college, Lutheran college, if I said that right, a Lutheran. He came there in 2009 when the school, man, 2009, do you not know what I was doing in 2009? I was in elementary school. 2009 when the school was in dire straits. He did turn around things, but there were some controversies there. There were faculty buyouts. I didn't know you could do a faculty buyout. And then even allegations of loyalty oaths the faculty had to sign. And blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is what we want to know. And they said, and he does have a PhD, right? Yes, in history from Yale. So he got a PhD from history in Yale. And so Jack Scribbler says, yeah, because a lot of times when we see hiring of political people, that's the first question. You know, do you have the terminal degree? And in this case, he did, which might have made him a more likely choice. At least for the board of trustees. Is that your sense? And then Garrett Shanley, yes, it's certainly an academic. So let's get to the fun part. I want to know the fun parts because Ben that went through $176,000 party. Y'all not ready for Ben. So both compared to Midland. University of Florida is a tanker. It has about, so they say University of Florida has about 60,000 students on its campuses. What areas Midland only had about 1,600 as today. Jack Scribbler and the budget. So Jack Scribbler, the budget at UF I think is around $9 billion. Whoo! I told y'all, man, they got that money at them schools. It's about $9 billion. Is that your understanding? And Garrett Shanley said yes. It's about right. And then right here, now this is where we get to the meat and potatoes. Jack Scribbler, so how do we go from a United States senator whose background is a president of a small college to becoming president of the University of Florida? What happened? So Gary Shanley said the truth is we don't know. And it's very hard to know. Political hands. You know the right people, they'll put you in position. It's that simple. Got my hands tingling. Right before the presidential search for our 13th president was initiated at the University of Florida, there was a bill signed into law that shielded presidential searches at higher education institutions in Florida from public view. So in Georgia, guys, if you're an institution, they have to openly communicate to all of the like at least staff. I can't say students, but staff. And then in Georgia, staff members, faculty, they know and learn like what president is in search. And then Florida doesn't have to tell you who they're considering to bring in for presidency. They don't have to do that. They said they put that into law. So they could just pick who they want to pick and bring in who they want to bring in. Then they wonder why they get the results they get. Gotta love it. So what that meant was that the Board of Trustees and Search Committee conducted most of their search behind closed doors until they named the sole finalist. Yep, as I just said. He was the finalist, blah, 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 blah. And uh-oh. So I think they got him on here. Is he talking about? Ben says, I'm here. Rather than at some other school or rather than trying to claw to stay in the United States Senate for decades, because I believe that this is the most interesting institution in the state that has the most happening right now. and is therefore the best position to help lead our country through a time of truly unprecedented change. So they say right here, Jack Scripling, and it was deeply skeptical of the pace of change in higher education, which isn't a really novel idea. So he said, what did Sass have to say early on, and what did he have to say early about his view of higher education and how it ran itself as a business and how it was adapting to modern realities? What he said, he does have gray hair. What that? Nothing. And they talking about AI. So right here, as we go through it, guys, because they're talking a podcast. And y'all hear the noise outside. And they had took a break. So they talk about him resign. He resigned very suddenly. Resign. I said resign. Resigned very suddenly. And then what happens next? He says, right, the night of the resignation, I had been reaching out to multiple of my sources in the administration to see who might take over in the intern, and they all had told me that the name. This is Ben's successor. We have talked about that, right? And why did he leave? That's what we want to know. There we go. So Jack Scripling said, yeah, I mean, even before you got into these dizzying spreadsheets, there was a lot of talk about big contracts for consulting companies. Anybody here could observe that he had created a lot of new positions within the president's office, but your reporting added a lot of meat to the bone. Tell me what you found. So Garrett here, guys, remember this is the person who reported this. He went on a big tangent. So we're gonna break this down. This is what we was looking for. Because they were just, I guess, doing surface level conversations before. He said the main thing we found that was the top lines. The main thing we found was that the top lines had shot up under Sass. And his predecessor, Kent Fush, last year in office, he spent 5.6 million. But in Sass' first year in office, the president office spent 17 million on personnel and operating expenses. So among those smaller line items, we found that personnel expenses had shot up, and a lot of that was because Sass was bringing on people that he used to work with in the Senate and other Republican officials, who most of them worked out of state. Another big line item was consultant contracts, so a lot of that went towards McKinsey and Company, who is the boutique Big Three consulting firm. He brought them on for 4.7 million, and the nature of their work was pretty opaque. What's that word? Let's see what that word is right there.
Opaque.
Opaque?
Opaque.
Opaque? Not able to be seen through, not transparent. Okay. And it raised questions because Sass had previously worked there as an advisor on an hourly contract. And then two of the kind of more interesting line items, there were travel expenses, which had gone way up on the Sass. I mean, I added up all of the travel expenses from Futch's entire 8-year presidency, and they were still under what Sass spent in 1 year in travel. A main driver of that was the fact that he allowed a lot of his political hires to work outside of Florida and then shuttled them to U.S. main campus in Gainesville on the university's dollar when needed. So they was spending that money good at University of Florida. He was bringing his homeboys and homegirls in from out of state who used to work with him at the Senate office. And man, they were running that bill up. As I say though, who had to pay for this? Who you think paid for this? Okay. Hey, University of Florida paid for it for one. I guess that's why they got rid of them. But how the university make that money? That's what you should be asking. So, and he also right here, but Ben was going crazy. They said Ben was more juicy. They said he appetizing things in that budget sheet. It was his catering expenses. They said where right here with it. Okay, and then we get to the good part. They said what sorts of things were expensed in the catering category. They said I think the most eye-popping thing from that list was a $176,000 holiday party, as we said before. A $38,000 hand roll sushi bar. They said sushi bar itself was $38,000. Yes. Okay, that must have been some good sushi. It better been. Saying, bro, they just spend money recklessly. You think this is bad? You think University of Florida, you think that President Ben Sasse was the only, you think he the only person doing this? No. No, this is what we be talking about. They $176,000 party. Pay attention. So some other interesting things I found were that it's pretty regular for college presidents to have tailgate events. Yes, it's very regular for presidents to have tailgate events. And what do? If you really know, if you work in higher education, I used to work in the alumni office, they drink. Probably not the president, but they drink at alumni tailgates. They have a good old cookout, or depending where you at, cookout, and they prep for college football, but they don't want to pay the players. But they can spend $176,000 on sushi. I mean, $170,000 on a holiday party. But they don't want to. They can spend $38,000 on some sushi. They don't want to pay these players though. It's funny out here. So he said he was surprised. So the person who didn't know this, because he's a journalist, but he was like he found that it was pretty regular for college presidents to have tailgate events at like suites and stadiums and stuff. He was like, I mean, that was common practice under Kent Fuchs, his predecessor in Sasse. But another thing he did was he held additional tailgates at the Dasburg House. I don't know what that is. It's somewhere on the University of Florida's campus. He said right here, which is the president's mansion at the University of Florida campus. The president has a mansion on the campus at the University of Florida. Where do college students stand? If you are a college student, where you staying at on campus? You ain't staying in no mansion. You're not staying in no mansion on the campus. And he's staying there for free. And he held those in conjunction with these president suite tailgates during the games. So that was a main driver in cost. One president's suite tailgate had brisket coated in peach flavored barbecue sauce. Ooh, hot dogs wrapped in candy bacon. Ooh, they were eating good. And then this person said, sounds like a great Gator tailgate. He said, definitely chopped down on some good grub. Petty. I bet you did. You a student there. You better did. So right here, he says, so Garrett, I wonder, you were talking about $1.3 billion in catering expenses from the president's office. We have seen college presidents get in trouble for much less. I'm immediately reminded of local reporting about Gordon Gee when he was president of Ohio State, and there was a huge scandal that they had spent $64,000 on a bow tie related things. They spent $64,000 on a bow tie related things because Gordon wore a bow tie, and there were bow tie cookies and bow tie pins and all sorts of stuff like this. This is just a staggering number in comparison. Were you kind of taken aback by how much money we were talking about here? And then the person says, of course, I am, And so he also says, though, right here, but those expenditures had double under Sasse. They keep talking about how it double under Sasse. But he says right here, One of the more significant things we found was that Sasse had hired half a dozen old political allies to serve in different positions at University of Florida. He says, many of them in six-figure positions. Now, who's going to suffer when things start coming down, like you have a Trump coming to you, right, asking for money. Who you think they're going to cut from positions? He just said he put his senator allies in six-figure positions. The university president, don't get me wrong, those people are probably gone. Probably gone. Probably. But they're gonna cut the people who work with the students on a day-to-day basis though. Even though this person, imagine work, this is why I tell you guys, you need equity in your life. You have to really think for yourself a little bit and think about your life. It's my dream to be in higher education and climb the ladders, right? But I knew early and saw early that it's based on political homeboys and homegirls, political homeboys and homegirls. I could have been, let's just say if I was being naive and not doing my forecasting and measurement, I would have been very upset working a job for 10 years to 15 years, making only about reaching 50 to 60 grand, and you have people who don't know nothing about higher education skipping the line and cutting me. That's a problem. You see what I'm getting at here? That's a problem. And so then you have somebody like, you can't blame the Trump administration when they come asking for money and hitting you for a bank or hitting you for all your money because y'all are doing, to me, unethical things. This is very unethical. And guess who gets the bad end of it? Somebody like me who worked that job for 10 years. They're going to take my money. They're going to take away my job and then expect me to go get a job somewhere else. But people don't see it that way. And you try to tell them and warn them about how higher education is and how you're not helping the students. And then it's even worse when you got the people on the lower level being naive and turning their heads, telling us, well, things are going to be like that. It just got to be like that. Then when they take your job, now you're sick on your stomach because now they're taking your job and you tried to keep things so traditional. Now you're about to lose your job. And how it hurts the students, how it hurts you, is that now you're trying to get resources and information and help on campus. And now they shrunk the student affairs section, for example, in other places. And now you can't get everything you need. So now you're thinking you're getting this 32 grand a year education. You're really getting probably like an education not worth that because they're cutting down and slicing staff and faculty and all this other stuff, researchers. So I'm just saying, read between the lines. It's a domino effect, basic organizational structure. So right here they said no. He said no, a very, very confusing reporting experience. But both Ray Sasse and Wingman, these are the right-hand people to Ben Sasse. They were in the president's cabinet, so to speak. Wingman was Sasse comms director in the Senate and was brought in at UF as vice president for comms. So he brought him to the University of vice president. He brought Wingman, James Wakeman, he hired him at the University of Florida as vice president for communications. So if you was a communications, I'm just gonna leave it at that. He brought them in, where he made $432,000 and was earning about $160,000 more than the person he replaced. This guy came from the Senate. Ben Sasse put his boy in position, said, look, man, I'm about to put you on $400 grand a year. You want it? That's a year of free money, even if he wasn't doing the job good. Because all he got to do is come in and say, I'm pretty sure James Wingman, who probably don't know nothing about higher education, he probably came in and said, what y'all was doing before? Oh, we was doing this and that. Keep doing it like you was. 432 grand. And he said, and that guy had worked in the comms office for decades. This is Garrett Shankley saying this, guys. Like, the guy who worked there for decades and then had to leave. New person who came in, Ben Sass homeboy or homegirl, they got an extra 160K more than the person who worked there for decades. Play smart. Don't play hard, play smart. Then you have Ray Sass, no relations to Ben Sass. He earned 396,000 a year in a position that was created just for him. So, and then to make it things worse, both Wegman and Ray Sass work remotely from the DC area, about 800 miles from the North Gainesville. They had remote jobs making over $250,000 a year. Man, y'all lucky I don't got no music, man. Woo, well, that's a. You know, most people won't see that money in their lifetime. As I told you guys, there are like 4 powers in the world. You got the political power, economical power. Fancy word for, I think political falls into that status power. Man, it's all these different types of powers. People think money is the only power. If you just got, like they say, relationships, if you got the fun, if you got the great charisma powers, power for that, and you got these different powers and you know how to use them, they get you stuff like that. Now, if you at the University of Florida and you are in student loan debt, well, you might don't want to click this video because we did a review on the University of Florida too. Woo, 1218. Let's keep going. So, guys, I'm gonna stop it there. I'm about to do a review, of course, of a school because I had to do something between 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a review. We're gonna do our review of a college, and I'm gonna let you go. But that story, man, I don't think you all will have access to that story because, like I said, I have a of course, this is information, but it's per Chronicle Higher Education. And so let's go ahead and pick a college. It's time to do our daily spin. So the college we have is Illinois University. Oh, I lied. Southern Illinois University. Carbondale. So let's see what this school is. Not is, but where are they? Who are they? Southern Illinois University, Carbondale is they are a public research university in Carbondale, Illinois. Chartered in 1869. They are the oldest and flagship campus of the Southern Illinois University system. So, okay. Never heard of this school, ever. Never heard of it. They say allegedly strong programs in aviation, forestry, and media arts. Vibrant student life with over 300 student organizations. Classic Midwestern college town. Feels surrounded by national forests. Noble for research in science and engineering and sustainability. All right. We finna do this review on it so you can all go. And it's not up here, is it? Yeah, College Scorecard. Do not have it up here. As I set up, get my tuition and fees ready. Let's see what they're talking about. Oh, no. Fun fact, they put all their tuition and fees in paragraph form. So you can't even. That's not nice, guys. You shouldn't do that to people. You should show them their tuition and fees up front. Yeah, they hiding the prices, guys. So, what do? We try a different way. We say tuition fees. We'll say cost of attendance. It might be on the cost of attendance. No. All right, we got something. All right, it's on their school website too, so it's estimates, but it'll work. They got it on the sheet. That's not it. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. So, Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. They have a so this is a 4-year. Their graduation rate is 56%. Ooh, that's not good. Right below the midpoint at that. They say the average annual cost going to the school would be about 16 grand. And if you stay on campus, guys, their tuition is about 9,700, fees about 3,900, food and housing about 12 grand, books, and they got miscellaneous. They said in the first year of going here, you're looking at about 30 grand. And I don't even think the school is private. It's a public school, I think. Let me see. Because when I looked them up, I was like, oh. Yeah, they're public. Ooh. So they are public. They're charging you about 30 grand your first year here, like going. And so, that's not good. That is not good. So their sticker price is way off from the Chronicles of Higher Education. Not Chronicles of Higher Education. Their sticker price is way off from the U.S. Department of Education. Remember, it's a .gov website. Usually, wait. No, that's annual, yeah. And this is annual. They sticker price way off. I don't know why. I can't explain it. Had to talk to them. And so this the undergraduate. This is undergraduate. I just made sure. So you're looking at about 30 grand and a real sticker price. And then they said on earnings, so guys, like I do 30 grand. I always do times 4 because you might graduate in 4, but most graduate in 5 or 6. Like and subscribe. So you're looking at about 120 grand if you go to this school. But they say after 10 years of, being a financial aid student, after being 10 years removed, looking at about making 53 grand a year. That's what you can make in 10 years. Or you can make more than 53 grand a year. Or you can make under 53 grand a year. But you're going to pay 120 grand to go there. Or more. 120 grand or more. And so, as I go to cost, we talked about cost. It's the same thing. The graduation rate, we talked about that. Students who return after their first year, 69%. That's bad. That's an F. On the 100% scale, that's an F. They got 2 Fs so far. Graduation rate, students who return after their first year. Guys, this might be one of them schools that might, why would I go here when there are other better schools, better price probably, and this school doesn't really separate themselves. You know, like they say you can go to school for forestry. I guess learn about the forest, study it. I guess, but students receiving federal loans is about 48%. That's pretty high. It's almost half. They say you have an average of 21K in student loan debt. Makes sense. We talked about the earnings. This is really bad as well. School might be an F. They said 70% of students, 70% of the university students here at, what's the school called? I don't know their name. Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. 70% of their students, they have a 70% of chance of earning more than a high school graduate. Yeah. So Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, their students have a 70% of chance earning more than a high school graduate. 70%. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'm gonna go spend a house on a school like this, and you're telling me that there's a good chance that a high school graduate is gonna make more than me. Can't do it. Can't do it. This is per the U.S. Department of Education College Scorecard. So campus diversity, test scores, and acceptance. So I know they nice. I know they don't want no SATs and ACTs. They need all the students they can get. They said Southern, I bet they do. Southern Illinois University Carbondale has an acceptance rate of 90%. I bet they do. And they do not require the SAT or ACT. So University of Southern Illinois Carbondale, what do I rate them? I'm gonna have to rate them an F, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the people that go to this school. They got to be an F. 30 grand a year on or off campus is crazy. I never heard of this school. They shouldn't be charging no 30 grand. Once again, if you feel like you can explain why your school shouldn't, be a higher grade, please reach out. We're not hard to find. If you feel like your school should be a higher rating, because most students shouldn't go here, I rate them an F again. And that if I started at a 2-year and they bridged to a 4-year, this won't be a school I would transfer to, because then in my last 2 years, right? In my last 2 years, if I stay off campus, it's still 30 grand if I stay off campus on estimate. That's what they're saying. So 30 times 2, I'm looking at 60 grand to go here. This is not even like a big school. It's not no, no, I'm not going there. No. No. So, yeah, they did that to themselves. Yep, and we'll clip that and put that in there. Yeah, this school was one of them ones. So, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I know we talked about a lot of things, and I talked a lot. Usually we have some more people coming in the chat. We can have some more balance when talking, and they can ask questions, and then I can go off those, and we can keep, bouncing ideas off each other. But I feel like we had a good stream, and I will see you all tomorrow. Same time, right? Peace, and as one of my main people would say, chicken grease.